Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kay and I am Stitchy Pfeiffer here on YouTube and over on Instagram. Very warm welcome to you if you're a returning viewer, and also if you're a new viewer. Thank you so much for hitting play and giving my channel a chance. If you like what you see, please click on the like and subscribe buttons and select all from the notifications drop down to be advised whenever I upload new content. Today's a bit of a special day because I'm starting a new project. I try to start my new projects on the 1st of the month unless it's for a specific thing like a birthday or a certain day of the, a certain holiday or whatever. For example, my birthday, I would start in the middle of June. For St Andrew's Day, I've got one project on the go for to commemorate St Andrew's Day, and I'll be starting another one this year, and I'll be starting that on the 30th of November. So this is my new project. This is Let It Be. Let Me Be, by Linda Ravenscroft's artist, and it's charted by Heaven and Earth Design. I'm going to be starting in the top left corner. And I thought that because it's a new project and people have been sort of asking, I've seen a lot of questions about how people stitch, what their stitching method is. So I thought I would demonstrate mine and try and explain a bit behind, a bit why I pick to go to park in a certain place as opposed to another one. Unfortunately, I don't have the facility to mirror my pattern keeper onto the screen, but I'll do my best to try and explain where the next space would be for parking. The first couple of stitches that I'm going to be doing on this, first few that I'm going to be doing on this are a rather light colour, so I'm hoping that it shows up on the white. It's 842. This, I don't even know if you can see. Where are we? There. Oh, there's a shadow anyway. So it's this colour here, this sort of creamy, not quite ecru, not quite beige. So we're going to start up in the top left corner here, and then I'll just once I've actually completed the first block, I'll decide whether I'm going to work across or if I'm going to work down. So yeah, so grab your drink and your project and let's get started. Now, first of all, first thing I've done is I've marked my starting point here. I've got one of these handy corner gauge things that I got from Pip and Chip. I was given the tip of also a standard 3 by 3 inch post-it note. Now, if you're anything like me, you don't keep them in the house and you don't have them lying around. If that's the case and you're using pre-gridded fabric, if you're doing a 3 inch border and you know your stitch count, so I'm working on 25 count here, so to work out where my starting point would be, I would multiply my stitch count by 3, which would give me 25, 65, 75 stitches. Now that's 7.5 of these blocks. So I would say right, 7. Just round it down to 7 and work and count across 7 blocks across and 7 blocks down. That would be my starting point. If it's, say it's 18 count, well, 3 18s is 36, 50, 36, 44, 54. So you would say, right, okay, it's 5 blocks across and 5 blocks down, or if you want to make sure 6 blocks, to do it that way. It's just another way of finding your starting point. If you've got, if you've not got a corner gauge or a post-it note to handy. Of course, you could always go the old-fashioned way with your measuring tape, but if you're anything like me, you put your measuring tape away someplace and you can't find it. So, excuse me, we'll take a drink. Right. So I've taken that out. So when I'm starting my threads, I stitch with one strand, 1/1 full cross, and when I start my thread, I use the loop method. So to do that, I go down on the top left till there's just a tiny wee tail, up in the bottom top right, then back down to make the loop, and then I come up in the bottom left and close through the loop and close the loop so that it's round the thread. Back down top right. That should take the loop through to the back, down to the bottom right, and I'm back up to my top left to complete the stitch. And I've got one more stitch here. I just realised I've not got my proper glasses on, so I can see it, but it's not as clear as it should be, so I'll just change my glasses. My Buddy Holly glasses, because they're black frames. That's a bit better. Across 3. I'm doing 4 more. 1. I complete my stitches as I go. Method I use is based on the snake method from Needle Ninja. This is the only reason I could see for doing the snake, because I'm working left to right and then I have to get back to the left hand side. So rather than just carrying my thread back and starting stitching underneath that stitch, I snake back, so I go along the odd numbered rows left to right and then back along the even numbered rows right to left. My mind's quite a logical mind, so this kind of makes sense to me. Obviously, if you're doing the Danish method where you do all your bottom legs first and do your top leg, then do your top legs, that wouldn't necessarily work for you, the snake method. So that's the first row of those stitches done. Now the next stitch on this is actually, I was going to do strictly do the block of straight underneath, but because I'm trying to avoid getting lines on my work, the next stitch is actually carries over into the next block, so you would be stitched, so it's 2 stitches, so it's that one and that one. So I'll work that one there and work back across to there. And just say I was going to park my thread, the next stitch after that would be here, but because there's a stitch in the box in the space above, I complete the stitch. And again, over there, because there's a stitch, I complete it. However, the next instance of that colour is in the first stitch of the next row, which has a space above it, so I park my thread there. I take my needle off and I'm ready to start on the next colour. And I mark those off, and I have just completed the first 11 stitches of my new project. So the next stitch I am doing, it is a bit of a ninja stitch because the next stitch is like, I've got a stitch there and in here, and the next stitch isn't down this block here, but it's way down at the bottom of the block. So I try not to move any further than one block any direction, but what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to end the thread after that stitch, so it's going to be a ninja stitch, like 4 6 4 4. 6 4 4. It's another light colour. There's not a lot of difference between the colours actually, to tell the truth. So just load up my needle. And then I'm going to do the loop start as I did the last time. So again, it's down, top left, up in the top right. Take it to the strand. I get more control over my needle, over my thread if I do it this way. You could just do the straight pulling it through to get to that, but I find I've got more control if I use my needle to hold the thread. Don't know if that's right or not, but anyway, we're going to finish this needle off. To do loop finish, I come up as if I was going to start the top leg, but I go back down the same hole, and then I come up the hole where I would be ending my thread, my stitch, and through the loop like I do for the loop start. And then I go back down my bottom left, and there's my completed stitch. Bottom right, sorry, and there's my completed stitch. And what I do, just to make sure that it doesn't come out, I go down maybe 3 stitches and pierce where the upper and the, you know, where the two threads on my fabric cross. I pierce it, because that's going over it, up the way. It's a vertical one on the top. I go pierce through it there, and come on. Then sometimes you get that it doesn't want to play, it just wants to slide. Come on. Oh. And that just makes sure that it's not coming out. If by any chance I've forgotten that it was my last stitch, I'll go down an extra couple of stitches to do this. Then again through the thread and just cut it, trim it as close to the fabric as possible. And you're going to stitch over it, so you're not actually going to see that. And I do that with all my threads, dark, light. If it comes through and it's not disappearing into the fabric as it should, I'll unpick it, and once I've done at least 2 of the stitches above it, I'll unpick it, and just put it to the back and just do my stitch. So that's that one done. What colour is this one? Okay, 3 6 4. I did put. Where did I put that thread? When I took that thread off, what did I do with it? Oh, it's there. I had put it on there. I couldn't remember actually tying it onto my thread card. Oh well. 3 6 4. I'm going to get quite a few stitches done with this colour, I think. And again, I'll start a new thread, so it's, you know this one now, of course, how to do this. many stitches across? 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, we're going 1 there. Again, it's stitch above is complete. So complete that stitch, and then across to there. So with the next one, and again it's completed. So next one is same as the row above. Because it's going over only one, I'm just going to continue over. One time I wouldn't do that is if it's going to block a stitch off. You know, if it's going to say I continued it down, say I stitched that one but not that one, and then the next row goes across there, but I've got a stitch, I've maybe got a stitch in here for some reason, and I'm going to be blocking off on all 4 sides. So if I complete, say I was to complete that stitch, say I had come back along and I had, yeah, I'm just confusing things actually. I'm going to stop talking. Anyway, complete that stitch because the stitch above is done. The next stitch is right next to that on the left hand side. There's no stitch above it, so we're going to park the thread there. And I'm just going to mark my stitches off. Right. I think that sometimes when you start working on a project, your stitching method kind of develops as you're going. Like this one at the moment, I would say is going to be more along the lines of the colour flow of Gemma, but it's going to be that combined with my stitching ninja snake method. Because the next stitch, the next colour, 739. Charlie here. Or as Nicholas Simply Stitcher calls it, kitty glitter. Speciality fibres and all that. I don't think I have a project that I've worked on doesn't have a cat hair in it someplace. Alright, so we're going to start this one here. The next stitch technically is a way back across there, but because the next one is a single stitch and it's above those other ones, I'm going to do it. Oh, wait a minute, I made, hold on. Oh, the hang. Put you in there. My tail's a wee bit too long, but I'll sort it, it's okay. It's not a problem. There we go. I'll just trim it. That thread's not going anywhere. Where's my needle? Where's my needle? Right. So that stitch. Right. The next stitch for that is actually way down here on that block, but the stitch up there is sitting on its own, and there's no other stitch on that row of that colour. And the next stitch on that block is way across there, so I'm just going to do that one. and then come down and do that stitch as I would normally. Come on, in the hole. Thank you. And then that one there is got a stitch above it. Right, and the next one in there is 1, 2 down, 1 across there. And because there's nothing above it, I'm parking it. So that's the first row of stitches done. Right, and we're looking at 738 this time. So oops. And sometimes you get that your loop doesn't go to the back. And what I'll just do is I'll pull it, that leg, just slightly, and it goes. It does go to the back eventually. One, I've got a stitch above, so I'll complete it. It's down there. So I'm done there. Those ones off. Well, I've done 29 stitches and at 0.01%. This whole thing, this whole design has 226,100 stitches, so yeah, 26 stitches is 0.01%, so yeah. So next one is that. 3023. so that can get parked. Right, now I'm picking this thread back up. I'm going to work more in this colour. Right, so this is going to be quite a few with this colour, so it's across there and back. Right, so I'm going to take it across to there, back across there, and I'll go 1, 2, 3 on the 1, 2, 3 on there, then a space, then oh wait a minute, I've done a boo-boo. 1, 2. No, that's okay. I'm miscounting my blocks, right? Let's just do this without me trying to figure it out. So it's one across, 1, 2. Complete that third row. Back 1. One thing I don't like when I start a new project is having to stretch over to the right, the left so much. Can I? It really hurts my shoulder. It's only 1 or 2 stitches, I don't mind. This is when I don't mind there being confetti stitching because my shoulder gets a break. It's when I'm doing a block of colour and it's up in the top left corner to start with. I'm like, I get a row done and I'm like, oh. Yeah, and my shoulder's sore, my top of my arm's sore, and I'm like, once I get down the project a bit, once I get down to about here, I'm okay working on this far over, and once I get on here a couple of, it's these blocks sort of here, and of course I start all my projects top left. I did try one top right, and I got confused so easily. I ended up switching to going across row by row. I'm like, no. I mean, I take my hat off to those that can do it that way. I think it's just the way my brain works. Because you read a book from left to right. At least when you're reading English, English or European languages, you read from left to right. So I think my brain's just been trained. I don't know how I would cope if I had to try to do the opposite way around. It would probably freak me out. Cause so much anxiety. Some of the Asian and scripts, and the Arabic scripts are actually really, really beautiful when you see them written. I don't understand what they're saying, but the script itself is just beautiful. And I'm going off on a tangent now. the more you get to know me, the more you realise I tend to go off on a tangent. It doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't take a lot to get me to for that to happen. Right, so that's done, and because the colour, because the thread, sorry, space above, where part of the thread, because the space above had a part thread, I just part my thread underneath, and that is, I have changed the colour, yes. And this one now, so there, up there. So that space there. That space there. Alright, so it's one row down from all stitches and across, so because there's nothing above, I'm parking my thread. And again, complete that stitch. I'll come across 3 here, 1. That's the first one in the next row, which has nothing above it, so it's parked. And then down, so I'm going to complete the rest. Does it go back to this colour? So what project are you working on? Have you got a new start for the new month? Pop a note in the comment, in the comment section below. And you never know, you might inspire me. Right. Because that carries on another 4 stitches into that. That's too many for me to do all of them, so I'll maybe do 1 or 2. I'll do 1, same, so it's the same as the, you know, above, so we'll do 1 there. But I just noticed the stitch above that is done, so I'm just going to do that, come back on myself, and this is why I'm saying it's more like the colour flow method. I'll just do 1 more just to take it past that, so I'm not going to another straight line. So I've gone 2 over there. Right. 1. 3. That's a messy stitch. Didn't even make it to the hole of fabric. Oh. exactly the same way again. It all looks like it's through this fabric. It might just be the angle. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt and say it's just the angle that I'm looking at it up. Fabric seems loose. This actually goes across for 5 stitches, but because that stitch isn't stitched, what I'll do is I'll do 2 stitches and park it. This actually reminds me of that whole block there. Kind of reminds me of sandstone. You know, that sort of, pardon me, pinkish beige sort of colour stone. Right, so here, you know what? I think I might actually work my way down. So, that's there. The next stitch is top row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if I'm going to work my way down, I might just work down to about maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many? I might just work it down to the page line, page break. I did leave page breaks on in this, didn't I? Yeah, where's my page break? Oh, there it is. Right, yeah, page break's at 98. So I might just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Take it down to the 100. And then just work down. That might change because looking at it, there is a lot of shapes in there. Let's work down the way for now until I see what actually, I'm gonna move that. Not gonna do it that way. I'm going to do this block, but I'm going to then build on it, so colour that is there, and I'm just going to park it. Didn't come through the fabric, did I? That felt weird. It is okay to change your mind. Nothing is set in stone. I'm just going to change that. Mark that one as part, and I'll mark that one. There we go. Yeah, I think I'll just take that over to there. And then slipped. Yeah, if you're using an Evenweave and you find that your stitch slips behind on the horizontal, undo the top leg and go, instead of coming, if you're coming up to go, up, bottom right to top left, unpick, undo that top leg and stitch it, and just go top left to bottom right. And it just seems, because the threads line across the back, it's giving extra support to your up and down to your vertical fabric strand, and it just gives it that extra support, which stops the stitch from slipping behind the fabric thread. And I'm going to just park it. No, I'm not going to park it there. I'm actually going to do that stitch. So I'll show you again. It's probably going to be okay, this one. See, it's okay. It's not every stitch that it does it on. If it is going to happen to me, it's normally on stitch at an end. It doesn't happen very much in the middle row, but it's like if I'm changing direction. Park it there. It's nice just to be working with 4 colours in a block. The project I've been working on, I was going great guns on it last night until I got to the last 2 rows in the block, and it was every stitch was a different colour. I was like, oh no, you've got to be joking me. Just about finished my session, my stitchy session, and there was 20 colour changes and 20 stitches. I was like, oh no. Park that there. Get my sleeve caught on the screw, the nut on my screw on my nut trip. across the shawl. There, what colour is this? So then oh, we've got another new colour, 648. Ugh. And it's beige. And this is one I don't think you can actually see very well on screen. Where is it? Oops. Oh dear. Or words to that effect. And I've done it again. I always have a problem with the light coloured threads getting to the right spot for that, because I try and leave as small a tail as possible so that when I finish the stitch it carries the tail over to the back. And when it's the really light colours like this one, I really struggle sometimes to see the tail, and I quite often pull it too far and pull the thread right through instead of leaving my tail. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Right, there we go. Part there. Oops. That was smart, not. I'll try that again. I got lost there. So I wasn't thinking about where I was putting my needle. I was just thinking about where I was going, where my thread was going after I finished these stitches. That's a guy rattly van. Wonder if the drivers provided with ear defenders for that. At least you would know if you lost your trailer, eh? Right. Okay. Now, I get to show you. Oh, come on. Oh, no. Come on, don't burst, don't break, don't break, don't break. Don't break, come on. Come on. Right. This is why, that's why I like CXC. If that had been DMC, there would have been no choice in them. I would have had no choice in the matter. That would have split and that would have broken the thread. And I would have had to unpick that and start a new strand. CXC, I managed to salvage it and still make my stitch. And hopefully the rest of that, where it's a little bit out of alignment, I'll be behind now because I'm going up here. That's the last stitch in that block for that colour. And the next one on this column is away down here. But the next one up on this block is at the top row and it's close to there, so close to that bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the top here, and what I do is I treat the top row of stitches coming along whenever I start a piece along the top row, or if I'm like doing a page on or a section, I treat that as if the stitches, as if it was coming on underneath a row of stitches. I know technically if I was to be doing it after the page break, then it would be. So what I would do is I would go along to my third one, but instead of parking, what I do is, because I'm treating that as if that row grid line there is a row of stitches, I complete that stitch. And then I go along and next one is there, and again I complete that stitch. And then the next instance is there and there's nothing above it, so it's parked. I forgot to mark this as parked on the... Never mind. Now, I'm going below on this one because one, I've not got a lot of thread left on there. And although I took that last colour up to the top, and there is a stitch right there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue this down below, because I'll use up a lot of thread on the next row because I've got 9 stitches. No, 7 stitches. I can't do maths. I've just realised this is, sorry for the camera quick guys, I've just realised my stand was off kilter. That's better, it's not so wobbly now. Yeah, so I'm going to do 7 stitches, so it's use quite a bit of this thread, and it'll use less thread than it would be to take it back up there to do that stitch. So I'm going to work here, it's then getting me set up for when I get down to there. Two, 3, 4, then a space and 1. And park there. So yeah, and then because I'm still got that colour highlighted, what I'll do is I'll go and start a new strand of that colour. So that's 842. That one away because I don't need that colour. This one. I'll get another strand of 842. Oh, for goodness sakes. This bit of thread's not one to play ball, is it? Right, let's have a look at you. Switch sides because you're straighter. Other end's more or less wispy. There we go. Over shoulder. That one there, right. A stitch. I'm gonna go. I think we'll just go down below on this one. So there. which way am I going? Let's see how many colours is there. So. Right, okay. Bit of pink getting introduced now. 225. There we go. Well, now that's the same colour as that I've got part down here, but I'm not going to take it up there because the next one comes as down there, so it would be taking the thread up there to bring it back down again. So I'm just going to start a new thread from there and down and bring it down to there, and then when I do that stitch, what I'll do is I'll park it over here on this next block over at this end here, so that it's taking it away from this strand in case I decide to move into this block with that strand. It's taking this second strand of that colour over out the way to the next column. That being said, I might well change my mind once I get to mark that off, pick up that one. Oops. one up puff's been done, so I'll make the stitch. I'm going down through 1, 2, 3, I'm going across 1 there for that one. Park it. Oh, come on. Right, what I'm going to do, this on here, that I'll put there, is going to get moved because I'll get to it up there before I get to it to there. So move that to there. And now go back to that and put this thread on, charge the needle with that, there we go. 1, 2, yeah. 1, 2. Oh, I got carried away. 2. 3, and then 1. There, and park it. Oops. There. Needle's trying to escape. I'll get this colour here. Come on. So that's the one that I moved up to there. I'm going to get both of those stitches. So where it was moved to from and where it was moved from, pardon me, and then parking it 1, 2, 3 there. And there we go. So I'm going to carry on with this, guys. I hope you can see how that's building up now. Basically, what I do when I'm parking is I'm looking at where I'm parking, where my thread's going next. And deciding whether I'm parking it in up there, down there, or in there. So depending on where I'm working, and it's just gradually going to build this up. I'm mindful of the time because that's just under an hour and 20 minutes, and I've done 153 stitches, so not too shabby stitch wise. But we're going to see this building up. But I'm going to be trying, like I said, I like to get to 3,000 stitches with my new start, and then it slots into the last place on the rotation. Mind you, this week my rotations kind of went out the window because I've been feeding the craving of stitching on supersized the Kitschy Kitchen Shelf Marks colour from HAED and Aimee Stewart, because I wanted to get that fish ornament finished, and then I just couldn't put it down. So like I said, the rotation went out the window this week. You're still going to have about 3 or 4 different projects to see on my update tomorrow. That will be my next video. After this one will be my update, and then there'll probably be a stitch with me on going up on Sunday. It might be this piece, it might be a different, depends how far I get today and tomorrow with it. I really need to try and get back onto my head saw at some point. I think once I've got my 3,000 stitches, I'll try and get my 2 weeks worth on my head saw to get caught up, because I want to, as I said in my update, I'm gonna try and get 1,400 stitches on that per week. So I might tackle that next after this. So there might only be 2 projects next week on the update. I'm also been thinking about Autumn Waltz, which would have been the next one on the rotation, and I'm thinking about UFO and that, because I'm nervous about whether I've got enough, whether I'm too far down the fabric. So I'm thinking about UFO and restart that autumn, sort of October time. So that'll be coming out the rotation, and it'll be going on to the next one, which I think is, let me think. It's either hummingbirds in the spring or peacock and roses sampler. Both of which I'd like to get quite a bit. I'd quite like to get some stitches in. Or it might actually be Lilies of the Valley, which is another Carolyn Manning. I don't think I would have had 2 Carolyn Mannings, one after the other. But we shall see. As I say, the Autumn Waltz is going to get restarted at some point. So that's coming out of the rotation. I'll talk about all that in plans tomorrow. I'm going to go now, guys. And remember, I've got, like I said, I've got 153 stitches in an hour and a half doing this method with this project. This method doesn't work for all my projects. Some of them cry out to get stitched diagonally. Some of them cry out to get stitched block by block, going across or going down. You know, the only thing that won't change is the snake method. Every time I stitch on a project, I complete my X's as I go, and I work odd numbered rows left to right, even numbered rows right to left. Every time. Keeps me right, keeps my brain, it keeps my logic, the logical part of my brain happy doing it that way. And because I work that way, I don't miss stitches. So yeah, I'm going to finish off as I normally do and say, even if you only get 1 stitch in a project, it's still progress. Doesn't matter how many, it doesn't matter whether it's 1 stitch or 150 odd stitches or 1,000 stitches in a day. It doesn't matter, it's all progress, and it's all stitches that you don't have to stitch at the end. And my other reminder that I say every time is treat others as you wish to be treated yourself. That smile or kind word doesn't cost you anything, but it means the world to the person, to the recipient. And you don't know what anyone is going through in a day. They could be having an absolute nightmare of a day, and that smile or kind gesture makes them feel better about that day. Gives them, it like I said, it doesn't cost you anything, but it means the world and can make all the difference to a person, to someone. So I'm going to go now, guys. Happy stitching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.